Hey everybody, in this game I blundered a piece early on in the mid game, but I didn't give up and I was able to get to a winning position in the end. I'm playing the black pieces, playing the Sicilian defense, fairly standard through these opening moves here. I do grab the free pawn. I think he just blundered that one. Always nice to remove a center pawn early on. He trades, I trade back. He castles, and honestly, I probably would have castled queenside if I were him because this pawn structure is just an abomination. I try and contest the middle here a little bit more. He tries to kick my knight out, and I'm happy to hop to this very aggressive position. But then when he scoots this way to save his rook, I realize this pawn is actually pretty vulnerable with 1, 2, 3 pieces putting pressure on it, and it's pinned to my king. So I try and break the pin and set up a castle. He captures. I don't capture back because I don't like having that much pressure on this pawn. I'd rather just have him have a passed pawn there, just temporarily. And when he plays this move, I feel like he's just solidifying this pawn, and I completely miss that he's also attacking this undefended knight, and that's my mistake. So I castle, just blundering away the knight, and at this stage, I'm down a full piece of worth of material, and not great, but it's also early in the game, so I don't give up. So I make this play with the idea being I can eventually, if he captures or not, I'm going to try and keep pushing up the F column to do my attack on what I view as a very compromised castle structure. He captures, which I'm happy to see, because now I'm able to get my bishop on this square, and I view this pawn over here as extremely vulnerable, and this rook as well by extension. And now I've got some pretty open pathways to do a kingside attack. He sees the vulnerable pawn on b2, and he defends it by pushing a pawn. I just develop my bishop, continue to put some pressure in the back line, and I feel like he can't push me out because he's missing pawns on these squares, and this pawn is kind of stunted by his other pieces. He advances. I'm happy to undouble my pawns, and he captures back with the knight, obviously attacking this bishop. But honestly, given that I blundered a piece very similarly not 5 moves ago, I can't blame him for trying to just grab free pieces. So I solidify, try and block the e file, and when he grabs the free pawn here, I celebrate for a second because I think I won a free piece with this clever check. Basically, this is an undefended knight, but I totally missed that he can just hop back to block the check and save his knight at the same time. But this pawn is still undefended, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And now I'm still down a full piece of material, but I have my bishop and my queen doing a checkmate threat on g2. He sees that though, blocks it with the knight, and I notice though that by blocking it with this knight, he's no longer defending this pawn, so I just grab the free material, and I'm also now putting pressure on this undefended bishop over here. He captures, I capture back, and I'm getting greedy because this bishop is still undefended. Unfortunately, he does this clever check, and I'm forced to exchange queens because there's no other way for me to get out of the check without losing my own queen. So I exchange queens, he captures back, and his bishop is now safe. But thankfully, with all these exchanges we had in the middle, it's opened up this discovered attack on his rook. So I do the exchange, he trades back, and after, I don't know how many moves, we're on the 23rd move, I've finally equalized on material. And I kind of like my position a little bit better. I feel like my castle is a little bit safer than his. And this passed pawn or this pawn, they're going to cause him some issues. So I bring my rook a little bit more active into the discussion because this pawn I'm not overly worried about as it stands right now. He tries to contest this pawn, and I defend it with my rook. When he does this play, I think he thinks it's pretty clever because he's attacking both of these pieces, but I counter with this move, basically saying, if you want to, exchange this pawn for this pawn, I'm happy to do it because then this one is going to be very hard to defend for him as a passed pawn. So we do that exact trade, and at this stage, we're equal on material, but I like this passed pawn very much, and with the 2 rooks, I feel like I can probably put a lot of pressure on his king still. and I'm not overly worried about back rank or anything like that. So he brings in his knight. I go ahead and put a little bit of pressure on it, though it's kind of an empty threat because his bishop is still protecting it. And he comes over here to put pressure on this pawn, but until he involves another piece like bringing in his bishop or his rook or something like that, I feel like this rook is fine covering it, and I can always just advance it if he starts putting more pressure on that pawn. So I double up my rooks on his back row, on the 2 row, and when he does this weird play, I guess he's just trying to win this pass pawn because he knows it's going to be an issue. I'm happy to just grab this other pawn, putting him in check, and at this stage he only has one move that he can safely do, which is retreating his king to h1 because I can't follow up check because his bishop is defending that square. But bafflingly, he goes to the other square, which is not safe at all, because now I can simply checkmate him. So yeah, I did win because my opponent blundered at the very end, but I'm just glad that I didn't give up once I blundered material early on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of this game and how you deal with going down a piece early in the mid game and not giving up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.